Well, post tractor show season, I was trying to get everything winterized, get everything closed down, get ready for winter. I've got Stay-Bill in the fuel for the John Deere. I got it in the tank in the H. It's in the barn. I got some in that fuel jug there too. Just kind of going over things, seeing if anything broke over the last show. I got the saw out and just kind of going over it. Saw ran great. If you saw the picture I posted, I was at the Lincoln County show there, and filled up probably about 2 wagons full of cut up wood in 3 or 4 hours altogether. I did cut twice up there. Made it in the paper even, so that was kind of cool. Ran great, didn't have a problem with it, except for when somebody else tried to run it, they cut little, tried feeding a little too fast and slipped the belt off the end of the pulley there a couple times. I took over and didn't have a problem. Operator error. You can kind of see right in here is where that belt wanted to ride, and you can see it's a little bit shinier there than the rest of the pulley, which is fine. I mean, it'll do that. Same thing on here. Kind of rode right in the center of it. Did pretty good. Belt's sitting there on the John Deere. You kind of barely see it there. Did pretty good. It didn't really have a problem. It just cut and cut and cut and cut and cut some more. I do want to redo this shaft here. It's got just a little bit of play. If you'll let it focus on there. There's a little bit of in and out play. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. So I think I'm going to have to redo that entire shaft. I might have to have somebody else make that, because the lathe I have at home is too short to handle a piece of rod that long. So I'll have to get new bearings for either end, because I think they're made to fit a specific size shaft. The yoke on the PTO shaft back here, that end of it is too big. The hole is too big for this. You can kind of tell here where it was wanting to kind of rock back and forth like that. So I'm going to have to, when I go to remake this shaft, I might try and just get one that's the right size, maybe a little bit bigger than that yoke back there, and then just put bigger bearing blocks in it, and then just turn it down to size to fit this pulley here. Because this, I don't know if you remember in another video, this shaft is actually a little bit smaller than the diameter of that pulley, so there's nothing really holding it on. The only thing that's driving it right now is this square set screw here that I drilled a little bit of a divot in the end of the shaft where that set screw goes. So that set screw actually goes down inside of the shaft a little bit, and it's acting as a shear pin, which worked good. I mean, the belt would slip and be off before it could do anything to that set screw. So I'm not too worried about that, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist now. I like my stuff to be as good as it possibly can be. This tensioner pulley has got quite a bit more play in it than it did before, and you can kind of see it's got a lot of stuff flung out here. I didn't put anything on it because I was worried about the wood soaking it up too much and getting too tight, so I let it run dry. But I'm definitely going to have to remake that in steel or aluminum or whatever I can get my hands on. But I got to get like a 4-inch piece of it, because I want to be able to turn down these lips on it too. Maybe run a slightly larger pulley, because that belt stretched out quite a bit. this thing was almost at the limit of its limit of its travel there. It was running right about there, and then the spring goes slack right there. It can go all the way back. So I might try running a little bit larger pulley and take up some of that gap. This shaft, still completely silent. It ran great. A little bit of a bounce and jiggle to it, but I think that might be because that saw blade isn't completely round anymore. There's a couple teeth on here, if I showed you or not. Oh, there's one there where the tip's pretty well gone off of it. Yeah. I think there was maybe one more on here somewhere too. But it's just completely toast, and I just ended up, I think it was this one. I ended up just grinding it down to where it wouldn't hit between these two teeth here. So, but it cut pretty good. Like I said, it cut two four-wheel wagons worth of wood in a matter of a few hours. Should have taken a picture of the wagon we were filling up, because there was a lot of wood in there, and it did great. I noticed down here on this hinge, on this side at least, that it's got some up and down play on it, which is why it's hitting right here. Whenever this thing comes back, it hits right there. So you can kind of tell it's a little bit polished from where it was rubbing. Focus, there it is. And it did the same thing on the inside of here. But other than that, it did great. Used the 504 actually quite a bit this year. Used it on the saw, of course, and used it to help pull stuff around for doing the horse pulls that they had there. And then I used it as a pullback tractor for the garden tractor pulls that were there too. So the garden tractor pulls just made that track an absolute dusty mess. That's why it's turned brown now. It's just covered in dust. I half expected a lot of that to blow off coming home on the highway, but I think I might take the pressure washer to that before I put it up for the season. I didn't make a post about it, but this toolbox, when I first mounted it, used some really little dinky, real flat brackets that were just as cheap as could possibly be. And this thing sat here and bounced even when I was sitting on the trailer going down the highway. It just sit there and flop all over the place. Get to where you're going, and this toolbox would sit here and sit down like this. So I made a new bracket. Found a big piece of angle iron. I think that's like a 2.5 by 3 inch, 1/4 inch piece of heavy duty angle iron there. Drilled a couple holes in it so I can mount it to this, and then drilled some more holes in it, so now it don't really go anywhere. That's where I got those. Oh, that was the number that it had on it, 266. Yeah. God darn. I bent that sucker. That's what I was using for the hitch pin on the helping out at the horse pulls. Went to turn the tractor around with I had the wagon behind this thing that had all the cinder blocks on it that they were using for weighting down the horse sled, and went to make the turn inside the track, and I had it on the black drawbar there in between the 3-point, because the trailer's so heavy and there's no jack on the tongue of the trailer. We just used the 3-point to lift the front of the trailer up to be able to move it. Well, I went to make the turn, and the throat on that into that trailer where it goes over top of the drawbar is really short, so it bound up, hitting on the side. I think that's it right there. bound up on the side of it and wouldn't let me make the turn, so I had to kind of do a 6-point turn to get the thing turned around. But did good. Didn't really have a problem with it. Thought it may have started missing while I was using it as a pullback tractor, but it cleared itself up and ran great for another 2 or 3 hours. So we'll go through it and make sure it's all cleaned up and ready for winter. I'm going to get the saw blade off of here, excuse me, and keep it inside because I don't want it rusting up or anything. This stuff here, before I took it up there, I was worried about kids getting in it because these are still kind of sharp. I didn't want kids getting into it and hurting themselves on it, so I put duct tape over the circumference of it to keep the edge protected on it. And that probably wasn't the best idea because now it's got residue all over it. I thought that would clean up going through wood, but the kerf on it, the teeth are offset. Like you can kind of see, this one's pointing in that direction. This one's pointing in that direction. So it creates a wider gap for the saw blade to go through, so that the wood actually doesn't touch the side of the blade as it's going through it. And that didn't end up cleaning off all the gum and residue from the duct tape. All it did was allow dust and stuff to stick to it. But no, that's not a big deal. A little more use and it'd clean it up again, clean it up some more. Or cut through some green wood or something. But other than that, did really good. I was kind of surprised. Kind of polished the see where the wood was rubbing. Polished the deck up a little bit. But yeah, I'll probably have this thing up again up there next year. Might have it painted. I want to replace these wood beams here. It look like roughs on actual 2x4s and 2x6s. I might replace that with C-channel or angle iron or something. Put some new wood skids on the bottom. But I want to put something a little bit stronger on there because I don't know how much longer this is going to last, how long it's been on there. It's in good shape, but I want my stuff to last. I might repaint it. I never did figure out who made it or how old it is. I couldn't get any information on it. Nobody else had seen one like it. Nobody else knew anything about what it would have been off of or where it was from. A couple other repairs I got to do down here. You can see this cross brace came apart. I may it's getting real bad down here too. In fact, it's completely gone. So there's no more diagonal stability on this thing. That's awful thin. I'm not going to be able to weld that without building it way up and using a full roll of welding rod just to build it back up and weld it back together. So I may have to figure something else out. This is still pretty strong, so I'm not too worried about it. But still got to figure out how to fix this down here, so that there's no more, not a whole lot of diagonal movement in it anyways, but I want it to be right just because that's the kind of person I am. So, but otherwise did real good. I was real impressed. The guys at the show really liked it because it worked better than what they had been using, which was, I think, just a single cylinder stationary engine on a trailer of some sort with a bucking saw similar to this behind it. And I guess it shook and didn't run real well and had all sorts of problems on it. This ran great for 2 hours straight twice. So, but that's what's going on. I'll get the I think we're going to use the John Deere this year for pulling the wagon on the hayride for when we do a family apple butter get together event thing. This coming up here in a couple weeks. So I'll get that out and run it, and then that'll be the last one to get winterized. I'll have to drain the water out of it because oddly enough, you can't actually use antifreeze in these things because there's no water pump. It's relying strictly on the natural circulation of the way water wants to circulate. Then hot water rises, much like hot air rises, and it goes up through the head, up through the upper radiator hose, into the top tank of the radiator, where, because there's air flowing over it with the fan spinning, cools the water that's in the radiator, which wants to naturally sink, and then it just naturally goes back down into the bottom of the engine, and then it heats up, and the cycle continues. Antifreeze doesn't allow that because it soaks up so much heat. It doesn't allow the natural circulation of water. So you actually have to use straight water in these, which is why the inside of these, get the spider webs out of here. I'm out of there. See, I still got water in it. Which is why I'm gonna have to get some light in there. Oh, come here. Pardon me while I get some lighting. The inside of these are always completely rusted out. You just can't run antifreeze in these things. You see the water level in there. So, like even that, I just bought that cover just last year, and I don't know why they didn't use like a brass. I think that is brass actually, maybe not. Brass on the top of that. I gotta do something else though. That's the belt for the saw, by the way. Neighbor's dog barking. So that's what's going on. We got a little placard at the show every year. That stayed on actually going down the highway. I was kind of surprised. But otherwise, did real good. Didn't run it hardly. Didn't go through the parade, but it sat out there. I accidentally on purpose, filled that tank with gasoline like it's supposed to be, with the intention of putting this on the saw. Well, I found out that PTO shaft there, this is the end that hooks up to the tractor, there is no hole in the side of this to hook it up. It's just got this push button here. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see it or not. There's a little pin inside of there with a notch cut out of it. And then there's supposed to be a groove cut all the way around the outside of the PTO shaft on the tractor, which I'll show you on this one, because this is what I ran it on. But you can see this little groove. I got the brake on. This little groove cut all the way around the outside of that. That's what that push pin latches onto. Well, the output shaft of this John Deere doesn't have that. It's just got this one little hole here where a spring clip is supposed to go all the way through. And that's not even really lined up all that well. It's just a little itty bitty tiny hole. So I couldn't use the saw on this. Which means now I've got a full tank of fuel and really no way to really use it, except for I think we're going to use it for the hay ride, maybe once or twice, just to burn up some of that fuel so it's not sitting in there and waiting and deteriorating all through the winter, even though I got stable in it. And yes, I had Arby's for lunch. So that's what's been going on here lately. Not much, just kind of getting ready to close down for the winter. I'm going to have to get back on this Ford so I can get it back together, because the H that's in the barn, I think the clutch is going out in it, so I need to get it in the shop to replace the clutch, but I don't have any room in here. At least that's easy to use, because that's where the, right here where the Ford's sitting, is where the chain hoist is. So I got to get the Ford done so I can park the Ford here, because I'm going to move the John Deere in where the H is sitting. But I got to get the Ford done first, or at least back together and running and rolling it. I don't have to have it painted quite so much, but I need to get it done so I can get the H in where this is sitting. Ford will probably sit here. John Deere will be in the barn. Got the engine covered up now just to kind of keep some of the dust off of it. But one of the problems I ran into is this manifold I got new. It's a brand new manifold I got off of Steiner's, I believe it was. But this lip down here is too wide. If you can see, it's hitting this side cover. And the side cover won't move. It's not bolted down, but it won't move further down any. So I'm going to have to machine or grind the end of this bottom lip of this manifold off of here. So it'll go down all the way, because right now it's sitting off the block by, good 1/4 inch, because it's resting on top of this. So I've got to fix that before I can get this on there. So that's the most recent standstill I came across. I bought that cover off of eBay, but it's for, I think, a newer tractor, because you can see this old one doesn't have a raised lip on it. If I can get you closer here, there's no lip, it's just flat. Whereas this one has got that ridge to it. Focus on something else. That and this was actually recessed this way quite a bit, and I had to beat it back out so that it wouldn't interfere with the valves in that one. But I bought that one thinking I didn't have the other one, and it actually is in here, right there, maybe. Sorry about that. There it is, sitting down in there. So it's been sitting in there for a while. And I got to get a new welding rod for that. Welding wire, that ran out. That's the old manifold there. So, Kevin managed to get these radius rods straightened. They were about as curvy as that one is. They're supposed to be straight. But managed to get those straightened out with the floor jack and a 4x4 post, I think, going off of that I-beam there, which worked out alright. But that's what's going on. It's a mess in here, but it's just me working in here. I know where everything's at. So stay tuned for more updates. I think we'll probably get kind of slow here during the winter as weather comes in. The shop's heated, but getting out here sometimes and trying to get down that gravel driveway in the winter is kind of hairy sometimes. But we'll make it out here and try and get some more work done, because I got to get the Ford done to get the John Deere in the barn and get the H out of there into there so I can get a new clutch in it. And the problem with the H is that they made 2 different clutches for it. One I think is a 10.5 inch diameter, and then the other one is a 10 inch diameter. 10 and 10.5 inch. Yeah. But I don't know which one's in that one until I get it apart. So I gotta get it apart to find out which clutch I need to order, and then I gotta order it and then wait 2 weeks for it to get in. So that'll be a long-term kind of project. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on. We'll keep you updated and let you know what happens next.